Hello guys, my name is Sam, and welcome back to another case study with me. On July 2nd, 2024, in a small town in Ohio, police discovered the body of a woman. Initially, the police thought it was a straightforward murder case, but upon closer examination, they realized that the murder bore striking similarities to a case from 2023. The method of killing was identical to a previous case that had left many women in nearby towns terrified of stepping outside alone. This raised the chilling question: had a serial killer returned after 7 months? So let's dive into today's case, revolving around the Ohio serial killer, also known as the Ohio Shadow Killer. On June 5th, 2023, a call was made to the Cleveland Police Department reporting a woman's body found in a cornfield in the rural town of Maplewood. The victim, identified as 50-year-old Martha Jenkins, had been strangled. There were no known disputes or recent conflicts in her life, leaving the police puzzled as they searched for her killer. Before the police could gather any leads, another body was discovered on June 19th. This time it was 50-year-old Diane Caldwell, found near a cornfield by the side of the road in a nearby town. Once again, there were no known enemies or conflicts in her life, and police failed to connect the two cases initially, treating them as separate homicides. The investigation continued without any breakthroughs. By the end of the month, another body surfaced. On June 30th, 2023, the body of 55-year-old Margaret Wallace was found near a farm in Oak Ridge. This time, the method of murder was slightly different. She had been strangled using her own scarf, which had been tightly wrapped around her neck and knotted in a way that ensured she couldn't survive. With 3 murders in 1 month, the police began to suspect a pattern. The killings continued. On July 22nd, the 4th victim, Linda Carson, was found in a cornfield near Fairfield. She had been murdered in the same way as Margaret Wallace. The 5th victim, Sarah Reynolds, was discovered in August in Springfield. Fear spread rapidly, both among residents and the police, because no one knew where the next murder would happen or when another body would turn up. The challenge for investigators was that the bodies were found at different locations, making it difficult to determine a clear pattern. The murders stopped for 2 months, giving people the false sense that the killer had moved on or been caught. Women resumed their daily lives with less fear. But then came October 31st, when the town of Hillsborough was rocked by another discovery. 65-year-old Carol Peterson's body was found in a field. She had been strangled with her own scarf in the same meticulous manner as before. The murders escalated. On November 20th, 2023, Mary Collins was found dead in her backyard in Athens. A week later, on November 26th, 63-year-old Ruth Adams was discovered in Dayton, with her scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. The police were overwhelmed, unable to find any solid evidence. It became clear that the killer was not giving them any time to react. By now, you might have noticed a pattern. All the victims were women, all over 45 years old, and all were strangled using their own clothing. Most of the bodies were found near farms or fields. However, the police initially struggled to connect the dots since the murders happened across the different counties, Cleveland, Springfield, and Dayton, all within a 25-mile radius. We can see the pattern now because we have all the information in one place, but for the investigators dealing with one case at a time, the connections weren't obvious. In their desperation, police arrested 3 suspects, only to realize that the murders continued even while these men were in custody. This confirmed that they had the wrong people. The real killer was still out there. The horrifying realization came when the latest victim, Anita Davis, was killed on July 2nd, 2024. Anita was returning home from visiting her family when she decided to take a shortcut through the fields. She never arrived home. Her family started searching, fearing the worst. By 8 p.m., news spread through town that another woman's body had been found in a nearby cornfield. When Anita's family reached the scene, her body had already been sent for an autopsy. Authorities confirmed her identity using ID cards found near the scene. The method of killing was identical, reinforcing the theory that the police were dealing with a serial killer. A task force called Operation Shadow Hunt was launched, consisting of 22 officers dedicated to tracking down the murderer. Officers from Chicago were brought in for specialized training, and they consulted criminal psychologists to understand the mind of their suspect. The police devised a plan. They sent female officers undercover to live in the targeted towns, pretending to be local farm workers. These officers integrated into daily life, working in fields during the day and following the same routines as the victims. Meanwhile, authorities reviewed over 1,500 security camera recordings and installed 600 new cameras in rural areas. They also distributed sketches of potential suspects based on witness descriptions. Just when hope seemed lost, A breakthrough came when a security guard called the police, claiming to have spotted a suspicious man near one of the crime scenes. Officers rushed to the location and arrested the suspect. His name was Robert Keller. Before we discuss how Keller committed these murders, it's important to understand who he was. Keller grew up in a troubled home in a small town in Ohio. His father was abusive and his mother was neglected. Keller had learning disabilities and struggled with speech. His childhood was filled with trauma, shaping his hatred toward women. In 2014, Keller married, but he became violent toward his wife. After years of abuse, she left him in 2018. This fueled his deep-seated resentment, leading him down a dark path. Unemployed and addicted to alcohol, Keller began roaming between towns, often staying with his relatives or sleeping in abandoned buildings. His familiarity with the rural landscape made him difficult to track. In June 2023, Keller's killing spree began when he approached a woman in a cornfield and made unwanted sexual advances. When she rejected him, he strangled her using her own scarf and left her body behind. He repeated this pattern, targeting women working alone in fields, always ensuring that no witnesses were around. If someone was nearby, he abandoned his plan and waited for another opportunity. Police found personal items from the victims in Keller's possession: lipsticks, ID cards, and clothing fragments, which he kept as trophies. When arrested, Keller confessed to 6 of the 9 murders. During interrogations, he laughed, showing no remorse. Despite the overwhelming evidence, some locals refused to believe Keller was capable of these crimes, arguing he was too mentally unstable. But his own confession and the physical evidence left no doubt. Robert Keller was the Ohio Shadow Killer, and with that, the case of Robert Keller comes to an end. If you enjoy true crime documentaries, please subscribe for more content. Stay safe, take care of your loved ones, and I'll see you soon. Bye.